It's a pretty good elite overall, but it's not 100% reliable just because you can't control where those reflex go down.
And real quick, we do have 10 seconds, but another thought. If you use that elite too early and you're one of these guilds like II right now and Gun Squad both blasting stealth, if you use that elite, it is often revealed and it's going to expose the other guild exactly where you are. So that's one thing to think about when using that elite specifically. And this fifth match is underway with Gun Squad in control 4-0 right now. Neither side, and now the strong engage again, yet again by Gun Squad, creating a down, and he's going to get punted away. That's a Necromancer instantly down, and a banner goes off from the Guild Unknown, but it's wasted, so that's a player and a banner that is down. That's like losing 2 on the first push. And Guild Unknown, now a second one down. That's actually the driver, and he's going to get punted away. And the Guild Unknown is going to have to do this without a driver, as he's going to get cleaved out all the way. So now it's a 12 versus 15 right now, as Gun Squad is doing full aggression again, pushing up to the north. No counter bomb going off, no focus on where the damage is going. No focus on the damage. Some people pushing up on the east side, others just running for their lives while not putting any damage down. There is a thief that goes down for the Guild Unknown, and now they are down. It's what is it, a 12 versus 15 now, and it looks like there is a little bit of a counter push now from the Guild Unknown, as they do manage to get one down from Gun Squad, and he is all the way out. So a little bit of life now from the Guild Unknown, as one of their warriors, as one of their guardians goes down, and that guardian actually a second guardian now, and I think that was the backup driver as well. So now they're gonna have to do this without any type of organization, and in a big hole, as it's maybe a 5 versus 14 now for the Guild Unknown. But they did show a little bit of life. They did manage to get one player down, but that round's gonna go in favor yet again of Gun Squad, making it 5-0 on the set.
So we have a couple of questions from chat. One of them asked if we could talk about the different food choices. So like lemongrass over sweet bean buns on warriors. I guess you could also talk about cactus fruit salad over seaweed salad on backline.
Yeah, personally, I know as melee train, when an enemy guild uses the plus Kandi duration, when the enemy casters, either the elementalists or the necromancers, they can use different foods, but when both of them are using plus Kandi duration, you feel it. You feel it on the melee train if you're running the standard 644 melee train with Holbrack and not a whole lot of active cleanses. And what it does is, the reason you use plus Kandi is not for the Kandi damage, it's for the effect of the Kandi. It's for the immobilize, the cripple, and the chill. And if you can slow down and catch the enemy in your damage, then more of your damage is going to land. Versus maybe some of these guilds run Dragon Buns or the Seaweed Salad. If you're putting out damage, but you're not able to catch the enemy guild in it, it might not do as much. Now, there's definitely a balance. Some guilds have some casters run plus Kandi, and some run the Seaweed Salad to get the best of both worlds. So there's definitely options, definitely differences in the result of your food choice.
I think one fairly large buff too was a few months ago they added the plus Kandi duration and then either plus 70 power or 66% chance to steal life on crit. And we see a lot of guilds going for the 66% chance to steal life on crit because it just kind of gives your casters a bit of sustain while also allowing for that burst. So it's kind of a middle point, so you don't have to invest into that condition damage where you're losing those stats.
Lifesteal also ignores armor, so that's a little bit of some bonus damage right there.
I think the most important food that we've seen come out recently is those sweet bean buns for the warriors.
Yeah, those are really, like, it's absolute best in slot for warrior, basically.
You see warriors running them and guardians not running them because it has plus condition duration and minus condition duration for them. So their mobs are longer from their flurries, you know, their cripples are longer from their hammers and stuff like that. And it's huge. Like, it definitely, the flurries last a lot longer, and to equal out with that minus 40% condition duration on the guards.
Yeah, it also helps that warriors already have a fairly high base HP pool, so the vitality from the standard food is not quite as necessary on them. Whereas a Guardian, it's actually a decent stat bonus that you can use fairly effectively.
And this round is going to be going underway in about 2 minutes. So at 3-0-0. This is the 6th match in a 7-set series between the Guild Unknown and Gun Squad. Gun Squad coming off a big win earlier tonight, 6-1 over Boo, and really kind of playing the game the way they want to tonight against the Guild Unknown.
So, another question. Any thoughts on using old school DPS stance warriors with Rampage against Pirate Ship and using tankier Ellies for the banners?
I don't think you can play Destroyer Warrior as effectively in the current meta because you're really just going to get caught out by a lot of Necros. If you're going to go for something more DPS oriented on Warrior, I think Killshot or Kill Shout, which is kind of a upcoming variant build that we've been seeing a bit more, are a lot more reliable than just standard Destroyer, like Axe Shields, Greatsword, something like that.
And
You want to go say something, Drigan?
Yeah, one thing you do see, it's not quite necessarily a DPS warrior by any means, but over in EU, one of the stark differences that they do is most of their guilds actually run Defiant Stance on their warriors, and they've kind of dropped the healing signet in favor of the Defiant Stance because of the massive bombs that come out from casters on each side. Now, it's not quite the same story in a 15 versus 15, but you definitely see it here tonight where a big bomb can happen, and it might not be a bad idea to use that Defiant Stance. Now, that completely probably doesn't answer your question, but it was a thought that I had because DPS Warrior often has stances, and Defiant Stance is a stance. And we do have another 20 seconds before this round is underway. But I will come back to that question after this round about why DPS Warriors aren't quite as viable anymore. And we do have now some Empowers coming off a little bit later than usual. The Shadow Refuge and some Blasphemous Stealth coming out from both sides. And it looks like Gun Squad did it to full effect now, and they don't have anyone revealed. Now we have the Engage and 2 down on the Engage from the Guild Unknown. One missed up, and the other one is a Thief. So an Elementalist and a Thief, neither of them get bannered, but one from Gun Squad does go down, and that's Warrior, and he gets caught in a big counter bomb, but he manages to rally off of another Thief that went down. So there's 2 Thieves down right now, and it looks like they even had they had 2 Thieves and a Mesmer down, along with an Elementalist for the Guild Unknown, just like that. 45 seconds into this round, so not a lot going on, and very well for the gank from the Guild Unknown, as now the Guild Unknown is at a very big disadvantage. There's an Elementalist down from the Guild Unknown, and really it doesn't look like they have a whole lot of organization. Maybe they're calling GG as their driver. Does go into the stand, so that round is going to be over very fast. Unfortunately for the Guild Unknown, as their gank was taken out of the equation almost immediately on that Engage. Not a whole lot not necessarily the fault of the gank by any means, as they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that Gun Squad melee train has just been ferocious on the Engages all night, making the 6-0 in favor of Gun Squad on the set tonight.
Yeah, GS has really been playing their own game very well. With their gank is really putting a ton of pressure on the casters, and even on like Warriors and the rest of the gank from II, and they're able to identify the threats that really can counter that, which would be counter gank from II, and they're eliminating that very quickly in all of these rounds.
And going back to that question from the last round onto why DPS Warriors aren't quite as viable, as Drigan, as the leader of Hope, we always had a DPS Warrior pretty much with Habe, and he's one of the better DPS Warriors without a doubt in NA. And the reason we had to stop using him, well, part because he went to Pakistan, but the other part is when he was around, the massive bomb meta, a DPS Warrior didn't have time. If you go back to about a year ago in March, some of the rounds could consistently last 4 minutes or more, I mean, we even had 12-minute rounds against Pyro, and in that situation, a DPS warrior has plenty of time to work. And now we saw in that last round, it lasted 1 minute and 10 seconds before that fight was over because of the big bombs. And that's something you consistently see. One guild wins big, the other loses big. And rounds very rarely go more than 2.5 minutes. And if they do, it's because of the pirate ship, because there's no engage whatsoever. We do have one more round following this, along with a couple of drawings for the night. Gun Squad again in control 6-0 for the set tonight.
Yeah, I think with what you were talking about earlier with the defiant stance, there's definitely, you know, it can be good in certain situations, but there's definitely, you know, the big con that comes along with it, which is that long cooldown, and it's kind of easy to bait out and then kite. And if you bait out and kite that defiant stance from the warriors, it turns the warriors into a pretty easy target in 20s and even 15s.
It's kind of like Shelter in that it's a really useful cooldown to give you a lot of sustain through those large bombs, but if you blow that cooldown inappropriately, and there's a Necro watching that, or there's like a driver trying to train melee that's watching that, you're just going to get picked apart pretty easily.
And part of the reason it's so effective right now on the EU side is that the pirate ship meta is in full effect for sure, and the number of engages that melee trains have is few and far between. And generally, if you go in, by the time your next engages, your defiant stance will be up. So you can go in, you can pop it, and get back out, and really there's not going to be any engage in between that, and it's pretty consistently up, and it's been working for a lot of guilds over there, which is honestly surprising that it's not really been experimented with too much over here on the NA side. Maybe that means we are less pirate shippy than EU.
And before Twitch chat erupts with a lot of angry Euros.
And we have 50 seconds now before the 7th and final round is underway.
EU sort of adopted pirate ship a little bit late, didn't they? As well, they were using hammers, like the classic hammer train for a while.
They'll still, EU still definitely has a lot of hammers in their trains, but really they just have a lot more reflex. And thank you to Meow, and probably I'm gonna guess Cinco's definitely the one that encouraged that right now.
Yep.
As I am now dead and going to do my best in shoutcasting this, which is underway in 10 seconds. So now we have the stealthing going out from Gun Squad. Actually, it looks like there's a little bit of delay. Maybe it's got pushed back. 11-0-0 now. It's got pushed back.
Well, what's going on here?
Looks like round's gonna be delayed because of a bunch of Meow players. Meow is an extremely old World vs. World guild from probably about a year ago. Recently, quite a few of their players came back to start playing for CERN in late NA and OCX, I believe.
And we see a lot of retardation coming out from Meow, which is typical Meow. Although they can be cool players if you're in the TeamSpeak, if you're not, it's annoying and they'll just troll you bad. Alright, so this round is going to go underway as soon as possible. A little bit of a immature interruption from Meow, which it's late, nobody here wants to see that.